Welcome back to TWIG. The fuck.
Leave that in, Michael. And welcome back to Fuck.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Everyone has been destroyed because of this freak. I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
What's going on? You are listening to TWIG, the flagship of stupidity, and I am your host, Mike the Birdman Dodd. I'm finally joined again with a full living room full of podcasters, lunatics, and other people that you may or may not want to have date your daughter and or son, depending, because, hey, happy Pride weekend! I'm joined with...
the illustrious Mr. Tristifer.
Alex, did you just say you're with a full litter?
Yes!
Full litter.
Were your kitty litter?
You are my kitty litter. And I'm
Shit
so
in my
happy.
box.
Yeah, poop in the box and come for pets. So anyway, guys, like I said, hopefully you guys are having a fantastic weekend. It is Pride weekend here in Toronto, so hopefully you are out there having a fantastically fun time this weekend, being safe and responsible, because, hey, work comes more often than it should Monday morning. And I guess since it's been a while since I've had a full room, because it's been ungodly hot the last couple of weeks, let's go around the room and see what everybody's been doing. Alex, we've heard you in Elements, but not on the show in a while. What's been going on with you?
I helped my mom repair her deck on her new house, and then had a bunch of doctor's appointments myself to get some stuff checked out and fixed up, and then went to my brother's university graduation, and the next day they hosted his engagement party at my mom's house. So it was 2 weeks of just absolute craziness.
Well, that's good. Congratulations to your brother, Andreas, right?
Yep.
Andreas, yep. So he's off to bigger and better things now, because I know he works for a rather large tech company.
Yes, he does.
And lucky bastard. That's all I got to say.
He is in San Francisco right now because he can. But he has to work while he's there, but just because he can.
That's kind of fun. The luxuries of having a really awesome
Oh, he got
job.
to see Alcatraz.
I guess I'll go work in San
So
Francisco.
he wanted to take pictures and see if he could see ghosts.
That's cool. I would like to do the tour of The Rock as seen by the movie The Rock.
But you would only want to do it if Sean Connery came and did it for you.
Or guided by Nicolas Cage, as long as he did voiceover for me. I'd be, him or Sean Connery? I don't care who.
It's an audio tour. Like, you get headphones when you walk around and they tell you about it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it would be cool if it was Nick Cage narrating it all.
I'd love that.
A missed marketing opportunity, I'm willing to bet.
Nick Cage, if you're listening, make that happen.
Yeah, please, come on,
Also,
Nick.
say hi, please.
And do it in your Not the Bees voice the entire time.
What about you, Tristan? I haven't had you on the show in a while. What's been going on with you?
I have been, doing my normal job, trying to get some doctor's appointments that I need to have done together to stop my knee from exploding. Because who knows what's going on with that. It's not in great shape, but we'll see.
Everybody falling apart.
Exactly.
For once,
take
me
care
as
of
the
your
crippled
bodies.
guy's in good shape.
Take care of your bodies, people. Your legs are more important than you
Yeah.
give them credit for.
Agreed. Don't let things linger because you think you can just avoid things. Get it checked out before it gets bad.
Yeah. otherwise
that'll
your legs
get
fall
better.
off like me.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. That's what I was told. It's like, get your stuff checked out or things will fall apart on you. You're no longer 20.
Exactly. As you get older, things don't heal as fast, sometimes at all. So take care of yourself. In the meantime, I've also been working, of course, on my YouTube channel, which I'm becoming more and more of a World of Warcraft YouTuber. I've been officially labeled that by a couple of the people who have become part of this community. It's growing all the time. A couple of weeks ago, it was only 80 subscribers. As of this morning, it was 295.
Good.
So things are moving along nicely with that. I have my own custom URL now, youtube.com/c/Mr. Tristifer. So I feel a little bit official and recognized now.
C for Canada?
C's for channel.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm not that smart.
It's
but
okay.
you've actually I've watched some of your stuff and I'm like, maybe I should give it a try. The last time I played WoW was 2005, maybe?
It's changed quite a bit. In 2005, it was mostly an RPG MMO with the RPG was the real focus. But gaming has shifted, and now it's a modern MMO.
Okay, so when I played it was within the first year of it coming out, and I built a new computer to play it, which was an AMD Athlon 64 dual core.
Ooh.
And I maxed that crap out on my 720p monitor or whatever it was, a CRT monitor that I had. And I was like, I played for about 20 days and I was bored. And then I came back, I think, once when they first launched that thing where it was free to play up to level whatever.
Yeah, the up to level 20, which still exists now.
I only played that because my brother ran a private server on it, and we got to fly around the level just seeing where everything was. That's all I really played. So seeing your videos and seeing what's coming up, they've done a lot.
Yeah, they've changed a lot. They've updated textures. They've added a lot of quality of life systems. They've improved the game so much. And a lot of people will disagree. If they've been playing this whole time, they're going to say, oh, they're ruining the game because it's not what they remember. But ultimately, Blizzard is changing World of Warcraft bit by bit to keep up with the current scene of gaming. And some people might not see it that way, but it does help bring new people in that are used to games from the last couple of years.
Won't it be 15 years old next year?
Yep, I think it's turning 14 in November.
And it's basically only like EverQuest that's longer than that still running.
I think so. There's very
EverQuest
few
is
games.
I don't think Ultima Online's online anymore.
When did RuneScape come out?
Does that count? Because isn't that free to play?
I would still count MMOs that are free to play if it's just the genre in
But
general.
as
But
far
it's
as
a
player base,
14-year-old subscription model
Is there
MMO.
still at least 1 million people playing it?
There are multiple millions of people.
Wow.
It is still the number one
I
played
remember
MMO.
at the height when they were doing those commercials with like Mr. T and all that, wasn't it like 8 million people?
Yeah, and then
Something
they
like
went
that,
up
yeah.
after that for a while. They went up, I believe, 12.5 was their peak.
Which is crazy. when
They
you
started
think about
dropping
it.
off for a while after that. They stopped releasing the actual numbers, but there are multiple millions of players concurrent right now.
So that's probably speaking as to how your channel's been building.
Yeah,
Which is
there's
really
a
good.
big
Oh, yeah.
audience. It's great.
So what's the channel again?
It's Mr. Tristifer. YouTube.com/C/Mr. Tristifer.
And
Or
if
you could just search for
I was gonna
Mr.
say, if we
Tristifer.
search for it, it'll pop up as part of the keyword search.
Exactly.
And we'll of course have a link in the show notes every single week. Other things that have been going on this week, like I said, quality of life stuff. Me and Alex actually signed up for something exciting. We'll actually have these guys on for an interview in probably a week or two. And I found this user on Twitter, and he's a Canadian guy. His name is LibrisArcana.com. Now that's LibrisArcana. And their
Link will be in the notes.
Link will be in the notes. And they're a subscription-based service that delivers dice every month for $8 Canadian, if you can believe that. That's with free shipping. And you can also get an RPG book a month, completely random, or you can get a D&D focused one as well. And me and Alex signed up for the random book service this month.
Yeah, the D&D one is about $3 more, $12.99, something like that.
$14.99.
$14.99. Sorry, correction. And that it says, I guess you're guaranteed a D&D book from anything before 5th edition.
Pretty much, yeah. And me and Alex got ours this week. Mine was Shadowrun 2nd Edition, the Native American Nations, which I actually got this on National Indigenous Persons Day, which was this past June 22nd or 23rd, I believe, which I thought that was rather fortuitous, since I am Native or Aboriginal, if you will. And Alex, what did you get?
I received, off the top of my head, I haven't looked at it.
It was an AD&D book.
It was an AD&D.
It was for Dark Sun.
Yes. I basically, because of all the business, I opened my mail that day, saw that it was there, didn't pull it out because I ended up having to go. That's when I was at my mom's for a week doing the deck stuff. So I haven't looked at it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it was really cool.
Yeah, because the Dark Sun.
It was Elves of Elvis or Elv.
Something weird.
Yes, and it was a pretty cool book, and it's for anybody out there that's a collector, it goes for a lot more than the $10 that they charge for the book, and it's $10 per month, and it's shipped out of BC, and it only took to
like
get
3-4 days.
Yeah, it was like 3 days. And there was a weekend involved, but 3 business days to get here. For free shipping for $10 a month, I'm very satisfied. I mean, I wanted to check with you. I figured I'd do it 1 month to see if we were going to get the same book, if it was a case of they have a liquidated thing of, every month everybody gets the same book. No, it seems pretty random.
Yeah, and I've actually been talking with the guy over Twitter, and everything is completely random. Like, you could get something from Rift, Shadowrun, BattleTech, World of Darkness,
So I think what they've done is
whatever.
they've bought up lots of books from people, or they even
or
have
bookstores that have gone out of business.
They even
maybe.
have on their website that they're looking to buy people's entire sets if they want to get out of it or they want to get rid of their old stuff. So they'll probably offer you a per book thing. It's probably not going to be the retail value of each book, but they're going to give you a bundle deal to buy it all, and then that goes into their random book selection process.
Yeah, we should have. I'm going to be reviewing. They actually just finished. I think it was a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, where you can put this leather book cover to make your role play books look like a grimoire or a spell
Oh wow,
tome.
that's pretty cool.
And it looks really nice. So I'll have an interview with that guy coming up rather soon, but I wanted to give him a plug just because I think it's such a cool service.
One thing I want you to find out, and if I'll find it out maybe myself, but if you ask him, if you subscribe, let's say, a second subscription, will you get the same book? Or is there an option to have 2 books a month?
I don't know. I'm going to have to find out. So once again, if you want to check that out, check out the link in the show notes. It's Libris Arcana on Twitter. He's also doing a 4,000 follower giveaway where you can get a loot box.
Cool.
Which is RPG books, dice, and whatever other stuff he decides to throw in there. But so coming up on the show this week, before we get any further, we have a review from Mr. Tristifer. We'll be taking a look at Wulverblade. We'll also be taking a look at Warner Brothers Home Entertainment's Tomb Raider, based upon the theatrical movie which just came out this past March. We'll also be taking a jaunt down to Satan's Pantry, as we most often do. And of course, we have stuff coming from the world of entertainment, the world of the tabloid, and of course the weird, wonderful, and the just plain fucked up. But before we go any further, let's throw things over to Mr. Tristifer. We'll be back, guys, right here on TWIG, the flagship of stupidity.
Wulverblade is a 2D scrolling slasher game that takes place during the Roman occupation of Britain, and it takes a lot more tactical thinking and holds a lot more educational content that you might expect from a blood-soaked beat-em-up. I'm Mr. Tristifer, and this is my review of Wulverblade for PlayStation 4. Looking at the trailers for Wulverblade, I wasn't expecting too much depth, and I was going to kick back and slash my way through some baddies without thinking too hard. You know how it is, sitting in your chair, half paying attention to the game as you chat with your friend or roommate, seeing what kind of combo you can rack up when you know you can just spam one button to dispatch most enemies. This is not that kind of hack and slash. This game demands your attention. The game is punishing, and the difficulty ramps up early and fast. It's not insurmountable, but compared to many of the hack and slash games that I've played, it takes a lot more attention to come out victorious. It's a bit too easy to breeze over some of the quick lessons you're given for controls, and I found myself struggling with the boss of the first level until experimenting with the controls and finding out I could roll to dodge, even though sometimes that wasn't enough. It's worth noting that dodging does not provide you invincibility in this game, unlike many other games that include a tactical roll. You don't realize how good you've got it till it's gone, and now I appreciate invincibility frames that much more. Timing and positioning are very important in Wulverblade, and while it's simple enough to learn in a boss fight, during the middle of levels, the enemies spawning in from each side of the screen can take you quite by surprise, and leave your health bar that much smaller for it. A key feature in combat is the ability to pick up and use many of the things you find, or cut off, as weapons. Enemy swords, spears, and other weapons can be turned against them, and even enemy body parts can enter your arsenal as they come along. These extra weapons are temporary, but they're fun to use to add something extra to the fight. The downside to these comes when too many of them end up on the field. The battlefield ends up feeling cluttered, and it becomes difficult to grab the item you intended to grab. Going for a long sword and picking up a severed leg is only funny the first few times it happens, but loses its charm when that leg costs you a life. Speaking of life, another element that adds to the difficulty is the unforgiving damage. Eating food you find through the level restores health, but it's not always going to be there when you want it. Granted, having too much food available would trivialize the difficulty of the game, but most of the time I found food was in the heat of combat, and I ended up picking up more severed limbs instead of a fruit. One could argue why not just eat the leg, but that's generally frowned upon and would likely put the game down a much darker path. One of Wulverblade's other charms is the historical research that's been put into this game. Through each level, you can find items that you can inspect that will bring up a short blurb about life in the game's setting and the history it's based in. Snippets of what life might have been like from personal letters you find scattered on the ground, or more historically factual information about certain people, places, or events from other objects you might come across between waves of foes. It's a bit distracting from the action of combat, but it's enjoyable to learn a little history as you play. The sound is loud and impactful, with high-intensity music full of strings and bounding drums, visceral thuds and slashing with every swing of your weapon, and voice acting that puts you right in the era. The visuals feel a bit like paper cutouts in a 3D parallax illusion, but besides some mediocre mouth syncing, the style feels good and doesn't take anything away from the gameplay. Overall, Wulverblade is a good game to let out your inner barbarian, but the difficulty might keep you from going full berserker. I would recommend Wulverblade for gamers that like a little violence mixed with equal parts challenge. The game is quite short though. You can expect to beat the main game mode in about 3 to 4 hours. I do think Wulverblade is worth the price tag, and you should check it out if you're feeling a little bloodthirsty. That's it for this review. Until the next adventure, this is Mr. Tristifer, signing off.
News on the march!
Thank you, Tristan, for putting that review together for Wulverblade, which you can find available on which platforms again?
It is currently available on PlayStation 4 and...
Probably PC?
I believe Steam. Yeah, I believe Steam has it as well. It is challenging, to say the least. It is surprisingly challenging. I got my ass kicked a couple times.
I'm finding that as I get older, I'm getting less and less good at video games. In fact, this past weekend I was playing Call of Duty World War II, and yeah, I got fed something pretty bad. The first sequence going up the beach at Normandy, yeah, that took me 15 minutes to beat. I'm terrible.
You know, the game series I'm having the most trouble going back and trying to play is anything to do with Guitar Hero or Rock Band. My sense of timing and my fingers are starting to betray me.
Did you play on medium or hard or
Hard.
expert?
Yeah, I go with hard to try to warm up, and then I would go to expert. Like 10 years ago, I was pretty good. I wasn't like a god or anything. I wasn't doing Through the Fire and Flames on expert. No. But I was able to play a lot of songs on expert and pass them, and I was doing okay. I was getting some practice in. Then it fell off for a while. I'm going back to it, and I'm having trouble even hitting the fourth note, let alone the fifth.
I can't hit the fourth note. That fucking
It's just, my fingers aren't moving fast enough anymore to try to hit chords. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm terrible at anything above hard. I'm terrible.
We're getting
Although
old.
expert, I can sing. That's my thing.
Singing's different. You don't need your fingers to sing.
For me, it was a novelty at best. I mean, I played a bit of it when I worked at Best Buy. We're talking about like over 10 years ago now. And I was like, this is cool. It won't last. I knew it wasn't going to last as a thing.
It did explode. It was a huge fad.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The sales happened.
bought into
Everyone
that
involved
so
is
bad.
happy with that.
And now what are those guitars good for? Nothing.
Although you can't buy them anymore, which sucks.
But it doesn't matter because what succeeded
Rock
it was,
Band still goes.
Yeah, but what succeeded it was Rocksmith, where you use a real guitar
Yeah.
and learn to play real chords, which is a much better thing because you actually get
You can
useful-
play the song.
It was
get
a
a
good
useful skill
evolution
out
of
it,
the
yeah.
of the
and that's
tech.
still around for PC and other platforms. And I mean, you got to buy a guitar to work with it, but it's a real life skill you'll get.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise, what's the life skill? I press buttons.
Yeah, I could play Through the Fire and Flames as long as there's only 5 notes.
I don't even know. It's like, and,
Ever.
and you don't get any like. There's something about learning to play guitar.
Yeah,
and
there's
doing it.
muscle memory you build up when you're actually playing a guitar versus you're hitting the same 5 buttons on this little stick that's in your left hand.
Yeah.
Or right hand if you're the other way around.
I do miss those games though. Like I still play Rock Band. From time
I'm not
to
going
time,
to downplay. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't fun. I'm saying I knew it was a fad that wasn't going to last.
Yeah, there are
I
some
think-
things you just know are fads. They show up and you go, okay, well, this is really popular today, but is it going to be popular in a year? I bet
It
not.
was the Tamagotchi of video games, and that there were so many companies trying to come out with new rhythm games to match
Yeah,
it.
you get all the clones out there, all the things. Oh, it's not that because
There
we
was
have this little hook on it.
There was one published by 505 Games. I think it was them. The reason I wanted it because they licensed a unique Linkin Park song. I think it was Faint they licensed. I can't remember what the game was called.
There was one that was like a rock zombie sort of game, and then there was something else, and there were a few. I know what you mean. Titles.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
and then there was.
Rock Band was always my favorite because it had the best licensing.
You knew it was dead when they went. Here's DJ Hero. Here's this hero. Here's no. Donkey Konga and all that. Like you knew it wasn't going to last.
When
The
Nintendo
only-
hops on a fad.
The only thing that stays and it's been there forever and will always be there is Dance Dance Revolution.
But there hasn't been a new
Yeah.
Dance game in years.
They have their
Rock
own...
Band's still getting updates.
There is a new one. I saw people posting on Twitter where it's a light up dance floor. I don't know the name of it now, but it's a new rhythm game, and it's pressure sensitive to where you're standing, not like buttons really.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if you're standing in the right spot. It's if you're moving to the rhythm.
And then there's the Just Dance games there, so it uses Kinect and all that.
Which, by the way, is coming out on the Wii. Not the Wii U, the Wii.
Not surprised.
The new version.
Wasn't there a new Super Nintendo game that came out a couple of years ago?
They're doing that, but this is a real company, like a AAA publisher that is putting out for a system that is 2 dead systems old.
That's impressive. Speaking of things that are dead, let's start the news this week from the week that was and forever shall be burned in our memories. Speaking of things that are over, after 4,000 episodes and multiple chairs thrown, punches, bloody lips, that's not my baby's daddy. The Jerry Springer Show
Ding, indeed.
has finally come to an end. So after over 4,000 episodes, it was announced last week that the show will stop making new episodes, and Springer or any of the people involved in the show are not talking about it. Now, NBC Universal had said earlier in the week that the CW and other networks that have bought the show in the syndication will continue to air reruns. Producers have said there's a possibility that more original episodes could be ordered sometime in the future, but they wouldn't answer any questions because it's not known how serious that possibility will be. At once upon a time, when this show was primetime daytime viewing, this show challenged Oprah, Montel Williams, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse Raphael.
You're going to throw in some Canadian ones like the Deanie Petty Show.
Yeah, the Dean Petty Show, which was always on at 10 o'clock in the morning or City Line or whatever.
My grandparents used to go to that show because they got free lunches from Chinese food places they would order in.
Now, you know what's kind of funny? There are some interesting names. That's my cat, Logan, deciding to
Logan,
scream.
shut up!
Thank you, Kat. Some of the last shows that we're talking about for Jerry Springer is Stripper Sex Turned Me Straight, Stop Pimpin' My Twin Sister, My Bestie Is Stalking You, Hooking Up With My Therapist, and Babes with Baguettes.
You know what? I honestly thought the show died over 10 years ago.
Too.
I thought it was off the air because it wasn't on like normal TV here anymore. It must have been on cable only.
I think Fox and other
and then
networks
there
were
was
only airing it.
I thought those were reruns, and then there was the was it the Steve Wilkos show, like the spinoff? I thought he took over, and your cat won't shut up.
Logan, shut up. Go on.
Yes,
Please.
I thought the Bodyguard had his own show. I thought he took over, and then I thought that show ended too. The last thing I saw it on was, do you remember before? I don't remember what channel it was called. Was it My TV Buffalo or My Network TV? The weird channel that was on cable here.
It looked like Peachtree was somewhere out there.
Peachtree
there was
is
something else.
what TBS
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Canada.
I don't remember anything anymore.
But there was My Network Buffalo. It was a weird channel that was a
It
similar.
was always Channel 2 Buffalo, right?
Yeah, it was a super channel type thing, and then that was on there, and it was on weird times of the day. So I thought the show ended around like 2006, 2007. I had no idea he was still making new episodes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. Like, do you remember at the height of Jerry Springer?
Oh,
How,
Austin Powers.
Yeah, like it was literally everywhere. You could not escape Jerry Springer. I remember T-shirts.
You remember
for it.
the movie Ringmaster?
Yeah.
He had a
Yeah.
movie a fake movie about his real show.
He was ingrained in culture. It was just a reference on everything. The Simpsons
Wasn't
one
he
on
the
Jerry
mayor
Springer.
or something of some city at one
He was
point?
the mayor of Cincinnati.
And like he openly said years ago that he never wanted, like he was a serious talk show host, and this was a way they thought to get ratings on one episode. And
It turned out to be stupid popular.
to the point where the ratings went, like we're talking 1,000 or 2,000% jump in ratings overnight. And they're like, well, this is what we are now.
Which is kind of sad because I think Springer is actually a really good interviewer.
He always
He's
was.
a smart guy.
And then you could see near, like when I stopped watching probably around 2004, he appeared like he had stopped caring, and it was all part of All right, let them fight. Like
Yeah,
it
he'd
used to
deliver
be-
one line
in
to
the
get
90s,
them to
you
talk
could-
about something,
You
and
could
then
see he wasn't setting people up to fight. He would actively try to stop it, and then he was just like, it became part of like a stand-up comedian or a rock group doing just their hits because they know people want to hear it. So
Yeah.
I thought it died long ago. So this is news to me. I'm wondering where it's been airing, at least in Canada.
wasn't there a spin-off show, his bodyguard,
That's
the
the
number one
Steve
bodyguard,
Wilkos show,
Steve
yeah.
Wilkos, that's it.
Which, I don't know. I can't believe that type of television still existed for this long. I remember when Weird Al wrote a parody song about it after the Bare Naked Ladies 1 week. It was just called Jerry Springer. And it was just a pop culture thing. Guess things from the 90s can die.
Well, like Howard Stern went on satellite radio and then YouTube and all that. Like, I would have figured they would have evolved and just become like a streaming show. I had no
Yeah.
idea. But then again, who they're marketing their shows to, like daytime talk shows are marketed towards women between the ages of 30 and 65 or so. That's just the demographic that was the housewife or people at home, and that's just generally what it's been in the States. And they were going towards those people who are also trailer trash or wanted to watch a train wreck. Like they were going for the lowest common denominator, like the basically, I'm going to say in air quotes, the white trash shit people is what they were marketing to in the 90s. And then it became such a big hit, a spectacle, that everybody started watching it. It wasn't, just the housewives watching it, because look at the audience.
I remember when it was on at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, but you look at it, what other daytime talk show, has any men in it at all?
Maury Povich. That's all I can
and
think
he's
of.
Yeah.
the closest. I mean, men is in the audience,
Yeah.
like the audience members. And,
Yeah, Maury would be the closest.
and he might have like 1 or 2 people. It was 50-50 men and women there because the men wanted to see the drama and the action, the fighting, and they would get into it. It's the only daytime talk show I can think of that trended well with the male demographic, in the 18 to 35 category.
It was,
So
it was
he
the
was getting-
show that everyone was watching to make themselves feel a little better about their lives.
And then it coincided similarly with stuff that was happening on like wrestling, like WCW, WWE, the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era. There were crossovers where Jerry Springer would show up on wrestling. It was that trash crash TV where it's like train wreck stuff.
Wasn't there just recently, like in the last 2 years, a Jerry Springer called Too Hot for TV?
Yeah,
on the network?
Because remember, he had the Too Hot for TV video series that
Yeah.
you could buy, where it's basically just girls flashing their titties at you. That's all it was. That's
Yeah.
all the
It
advertisers.
was in the same vein as all the Girls Gone Wild stuff that you see
Yeah,
on
so-
TV from 15,
But he also
20 years
he
ago.
did a lot of stuff on WWE or WWF at the time, and they brought him on the network and handled their own. And it's much tamer than what his programming was.
Yeah.
But there's a relationship there that was something about the late 90s shift towards more mature, adult, unscripted shows becoming the big popular thing, that now we've sort of settled back into the very PC era where everything has to be subdued and considerate and
Reality shows are not as
they're
out there as they
they're
used to be.
Programming in general is becoming more bland. So I'm not surprised that it was canceled now. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did in this culture.
Yeah, like 4,000 plus
Like,
episodes.
a single episode of his television show from the 90s would not play now on normal TV. I don't
Oh
know.
God,
no,
no.
not at all.
Like I'm
There'd be
surprised.
protests if they were to air a show brand new
gonna-
like that now.
We're gonna have, he'd be like, it would be an episode where it's like, I'm a member of the KKK, and by the way, I love Jewish women, and then the families would be on there, and then it would just be slur after slur fighting, and it was, you could see it wasn't staged as much as it became later on in the 90s. He would legitimately set people up to the point where they'd have to have security and police officers on set.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that it lasted as long as it did. I wonder what he's going to do, because I just thought he had just retired and was living large as in like, because he was getting Judge Judy money, if not more than
Yeah.
that. And now she's like the queen, she still has that syndication empire of her
Yeah,
shows.
my grandmother was still watching her up until her death a couple years ago.
And
Not
she- and
Judge
she-
Judy, but my
no, and Judge
grandmother.
Judy is still on. She's the only one that is like, she is.
I was Judge Joe Brown.
Well, like Mathis and all of them, they have all their syndicated shows, but she is like a multi-billionaire from her
Yeah.
show empire because she owns a couple other shows on that production, and I would think that Jerry Springer at this point is worth in the hundreds of millions of dollars, because if you have 4,000 episodes that you can have syndicated out there,
Yeah, that is a tremendous amount of viewership and a lot of ad money coming right in all the
especially
time.
well, like I said before, the fact that he was with he had men in the young men category, like it's unheard of to have ads run during daytime TV for people that aren't children or women, and he could get primetime ads on his programming.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I gotta wonder if he's gonna go into like a David Letterman thing where he does a Netflix show. Maybe not in the same vein.
it wouldn't surprise
but
me.
he would make a series talking about his experiences as Jerry Springer.
You know who could grab him up if they really wanted to do something? It wouldn't be Netflix.
No.
It wouldn't be Hulu. I could see Twitch or Facebook trying to capture him, because if he had like a 15-minute interview show or even basically what he was already doing, Facebook has been looking everywhere.
They're buying streamers left, right, and center.
They're getting that. They have that deal with the WWE for their was Facebook Watch is I think their platform. They're looking for 15 to 20-minute shows, and he would be perfect because everybody's on Facebook, and all you'd have to do is have an age gate on there, and you wouldn't even need an age gate. The account that you have on Facebook would just tell you how old
yes or
you are. As
no,
long
can
as
you watch this?
Yeah. So he is primed for streaming networks, by far.
I think it'd be interesting to see if like Twitch brought him up. That'd be funny. So anyway, let's rest in peace, Jerry Springer show.
Yes. He won't be gone forever.
He won't be
We'll
gone.
see what's next for him, but the show as it was is no more.
What do you got, Tristan?
On to what should be and what has been taking forever in the world of gaming. There are two titles in RPGs, JRPGs specifically, that everyone thinks of when they think of games that are taking forever to come out. One of them is Kingdom Hearts 3, which we know actually has a release date in January of 2019, finally, and the other is the remake of Final Fantasy VII. The director behind both of these games, Tetsuya Nomura, admits that both of these games were announced way too early, and his rationale behind why they were announced so early is because gamers are just basically frothing nerds that will go crazy at everything. Please tell us more. We need to know everything all the time. So they needed to announce something to say, yes, we're working on that. But the problem is now, because development takes a long time to make these big games, it takes so long, people get frustrated.
Oh yeah,
And the gamers are all like, why is it taking years to come out with this game? Well, that's just a development process.
Think back in the day when we used to get our news from Nintendo Power, Electronic Gaming Monthly. We'd get an article every couple months about a game. Now in the age of the internet, bam, 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 hits, ad money, go, go, go.
Leaks happen.
Leaks happen, and it's just one of those things where news comes out too early. Hell, do you remember when we used to joke about Duke Nukem Forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like,
fact that they named it that and alone was hilarious.
yeah, I mean,
Duke for never, all that sort of stuff.
I've made this prediction and I'll make it again. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, will not be out on PlayStation 4. It will be a PlayStation 5 likely.
Or if
launch
it
title.
is, it'll
First
be
episode.
The first episode or two will come out, and then it'll be one of those things where it's on both platforms.
Yeah, it'll be released for both. Like Breath of the Wild, for example, released on Wii U and Nintendo Switch. They've said that they were basically working on both Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII at the same time. So they would be putting 100% of their effort into one of the games, and then they'd have to stop, switch, and go over to Final Fantasy VII and try to put them both out.
As much as they may want to make it episodic, don't be surprised if all the pressure on them makes the game come out all at once. They may try to do an episodic thing, but they may actually lose interest.
Well, the problem with doing
episodic
episodic is if the releases are too far spaced out, you're right. Interest goes.
Not only that,
it's a remake.
Here's
We know what happened.
There's a risk involved. If the anticipation for it is there, if they release the first episode and it sells like 7 million copies, something ridiculous, right away, which can happen for Final Fantasy, especially
there's a big
the
fandom.
highest selling game in the series. But remember, the highest selling game in the series has only sold 10 or 11 million copies total. It's rabid in everybody's mind. Everybody's heard of Final Fantasy VII. They'll all pay for the first thing. If it turns out that it's not everything everybody's always dreamed of, the second episode could drop to 1/10 of the sales.
Exactly.
Whereas that would be, instead of you paying $24 an episode or $20 an episode, They might only then end up getting $40 out of each of the gamers instead of the total of 80 they could have got. So they might be better off just releasing it as one big set. Fuck, put down Final Fantasy VII is the biggest project we've ever done. It's $100. Make it 99 Canadian, 79 American, and people will pay it.
Yes, they will. There's a tremendous amount of potential for special editions and physical extra things.
If they put out a $200 edition, I guarantee you they could get 500,000 pre-orders for it worldwide.
Yeah. Everything
And
they could
I'd buy
possibly
one too.
make would sell out. They will sell everything they could make.
But again, if the game turns out to be crap or not what everybody's lived up to, they still got their money then. If they do it episodic and it's shit, they're fucked.
Yeah, because like if they do it episodic and if the release schedule is not as consistent as it needs to be, like say Telltale's Walking Dead or even most recently Hitman's release schedule, unless you're getting a new episode every couple of months, the game's interest, the community will die.
I'm assuming that what the episodes they're trying to do is it's going to be an episode per disc of what it was previously.
More or less. I think they'll find some natural points in the plot that are cliffhangery. Like there's
Which
that,
is
that
the
there's,
3 discs, and then they'll throw in an extra disc of new information.
Yeah,
so
there's a
what
couple
were the
of
big
natural
cliffhanger
stopping
moments
points.
from the first game?
Eris.
Yeah, Eris dying.
Eris
yeah,
dying.
that's disc,
Spoilers.
that's disc 1.
Yeah, that's the end of disc 1. I'm trying to remember what happens at the end of disc 2.
Golden Saucer?
The end of disc 2 is the weapons come.
Yeah, the weapons are awakened. And
weapons are awakened.
Disc 3 is basically you need to
And-
go to Northern Crater and end the game.
Yeah.
Which they would have to add a lot more to.
Yeah, there wasn't anything there. It was
enough.
just disc 3 existed because they just needed to put all the cinematics and stuff there.
There's
and
not
have
enough
the
to make
game
it a
available.
5. If they make it 5 episodes, like let's say like Life is Strange or these other titles, and they want to charge like $25 each, they won't get everybody playing through it.
No, they're going to
People are
need
going to
big
wait till
chunks.
there's a big collection of it, and also, like you said, they can't wait 6 months between episodes. This would have to be something where the game is pretty much ready to go, and they release an episode every 2 months.
Yeah.
That's the
Like it
only
has
way
to
it will
follow
work.
Telltale's model.
And even if it's every 2 months, people are going to get pissed and just not buy it, and then they're going to go, "Oh, nobody wants it," and not complete it. When people are just going to be waiting for a complete edition to come out.
Yep.
So they're kind of they're a little short-sighted in it, and a lot of games are moving away from episodic telling because it's not selling the way it used to.
Gamers are becoming pretty smart to it because every time you have an episodic thing, you're going to end up with a complete collection again later on.
For cheaper
that's
than
going
when
to
it
be more
costs, yeah.
affordable.
Yeah, like for
Any-
example, even Telltale now, like the final episode or the final game, The Walking Dead, comes out in August. Telltale's in financial trouble right now, and because the episodic model is successful as it's been, they're losing money. They can't. The company's in shit, despite having all these huge licenses like Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
Batman, Minecraft.
It's because
et
the
cetera.
games, honestly, unpopular opinion, their games are boring as fuck. There's nothing to them. They haven't done any innovations since like the first 2 games came out.
I'd argue their most boring was the Back to the Future. Great story, boring game. The gameplay got more interesting when you did The Walking Dead. I haven't played the Batman one's got more gameplay-ish elements to it, but it's still
But the
fairly
question
simple.
is, does anybody care about their games anymore?
People really want what's that wolf game? You know what I'm talking about? The Wolf Among Us? Is that what it's called?
I've owned that game on different platforms 3 or 4 times and never played more than the first chapter.
Yeah, it's hard to... If you're into it far enough, then I think the only people that care about these games now are the ones that want the closure. They want to see where it ends up, but no one's getting into these games. No, there's no reason to really start.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what would be the point in starting with it? Because the graphics don't hold up. They never
No.
were graphical powerhouses.
They're more visual novels that you played.
Yes, here's the thing. Visual novels come out that are better than it. Point-and-click adventures come out that are better than what they do. They sort of take the best elements of things and try to make games out of it. And they had a lot of hype going for them, but they've taken, like, what, a year or 2 between releases now?
Yeah.
And it's too long for... There's not a lot of content with their games to warrant that time between them.
And it's taken so long that now the name The Walking Dead is losing a lot of its pull because
absolutely.
this show now generally
They're what,
sucks.
10-hour games? A 10-hour game that's a point-and-click adventure that with trigger buttons that you'd press, that does not warrant 2 years of a development cycle. It doesn't. Your team, like, unless you're working on a skeleton team and you're just like there was a lot of money coming in. What'd they do with their money?
I think some of it got tied up in a lawsuit and some other stuff.
Okay, that wouldn't surprise me, but and I'm not trying to speak down on them. It's just their games aren't worth the weight or the money they ask for them. They're $25 games at best.
Yeah, that I would agree to. Like
they can't expect $80 for one of their titles.
No, not worth it.
$50 even then.
If that.
If that. Like, I'm excited for the new Walking Dead because I want to see how Clementine's story finally finishes. Because I've been with her for so long.
But you know what'll happen? Wait 6 months and they'll release a package with everything.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about.
There's
Episodic
always
gameplay.
a complete edition.
It'll be $80 for like every season of it, and that's worth it then. It's not worth paying for things like this seasonal or episodic that way when you have to wait 5 years to get the whole story.
Yeah, that's a fairly good point, actually. Speaking of other video game news, Alex, what do you got this week?
Well, the big buzz around everywhere has been that Nintendo and Xbox are going to have crossplay, at least on some titles.
They're dating.
Yay! They're opening like the servers are going to be able to talk to each other. Not that they couldn't before, but that they wouldn't before. Sony is still a big holdout on that, in that Sony doesn't like to play well with others. They have the market lead on everything right now, so they don't really need crossplay. Like if you take everybody playing games on like Rocket League or Minecraft on
Fortnite.
Xbox and for Xbox and the Switch, added them together, they're not even half of the people that are playing on PlayStation. So there's not really a need on their end to play well with others because they want everybody just to play on their platform.
Yeah, well, to
Now,
play with your friends, you got to buy a PS4.
It's going to bite them in the ass eventually. If they were smart, they would open up play between PC and them, because you can use a keyboard and mouse for their games on PlayStation. They haven't advertised it, but I had a PS4 launch day and I plugged in mouse and keyboard, and that's how I was able to set up my account. I just typed everything. It works, and it works for their MMOs that they have on there.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why you couldn't use a wireless keyboard and mouse from like Logitech or somebody and just play games that way. So there's no reason why crossplay wouldn't work for them. They've just traditionally, they're not xenophobic as much as Nintendo had been. The big story here is that Nintendo agreed to this. Because Microsoft, they have nothing to lose. They only have things to gain, because I looked up the sales numbers of the Xbox One. They've only sold, it was like 18 million units or something, or of the Xbox One total over all versions, and the PS4 in its versions have sold nearly 75 million. Like they're at the level I think that the PS3 was at already.
Yeah,
and they're a few years away. Like they are so far ahead. There is absolutely nothing Xbox could do to catch up in sales unless they made the Xbox One $150. Because there's no way they can catch up with and Nintendo is I think 1 million copies away, barely, or maybe even 100. There was 100,000 I was looking or something. They're projected to oversell Xbox by end of summer.
That's ridiculous.
And they're out a year and a half.
That's amazing.
That's wow.
So what'll happen is they won't be able to catch up to PlayStation unless they end up selling. They reduce the cost and they start selling more per household. If they adopt a more 3DS model where they lower the price. Right now, $3.99 Canadian still a fair bit for a system if you're going to have more than one. But if they can in the next, let's say, 2 years, bring that cost down to $200, that's enough to have two per household. And then they'll start to approach Sony, but it's too late. Like in this life cycle, Sony is the clear winner, so they don't have to play nice. Mm-hmm. Now,
people are getting upset.
They don't have to yet.
I think it's really brewing now with the recent addition of Fortnite to Switch, and so many Switch owners wanting to turn on their Fortnite accounts and start playing on the go. They realized they weren't able to play Fortnite with the account they have linked to Sony, and that kind of woke them up saying, hey, what's going on here?
If they do something, it would be on a game-by-game basis, and it would have to be a specific agreement. It'll have to be gated into the PS Plus account. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, like already, you have to get multiplayer. You have to have a PS Plus account.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's pretty standard.
There'll be
now.
something. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony, they got the PS Plus account. If they have a PS Plus Premium,
plus.
now they'll put some sort of premium thing in there for an additional. Let's say, because I think in Canada it's $75 or $79 per year for the PS Plus. add an additional $20, make it $100 a year, or 75 in the States, and then they'll add crossplay and some extra features. They'll want to find a way to monetize it if they're going to do that. And I think people wouldn't really balk at that if they're already paying $75 for per year.
People generally look at monetary costs in relation to other monetary costs.
Like, oh, it's $20 more, and I get crossplay with PC and Xbox and everything else. Oh, and then maybe they'll give me, a little extra storage space for my saves, and then maybe throw in with that video rental service or something, or if they bundled it together with PS Now.
Yeah.
That I would pay
If
for.
they made it $100, if $100 a year got you PS Now, or like a certain tier of that where you get so many games you can play, plus crossplay and all that, and they up their ante there by charging an extra $20, they're easily going to get out of the 70 some odd million systems sold. You'll probably have 50 million people that pay for it. I'm willing to bet 2/3 of people have PS Plus that are on PlayStation, because otherwise, why play online unless you're playing single player?
Ooh, here's another monetization option for Sony. All those avatar things that they charge like 99 cents for. Activate
all
crossplay. Here you get a whole bunch of extra ones from other systems.
Or you can make your own.
Be Mario on a PlayStation 4 avatar.
Yeah. Throw that stuff in. They could easily do that and make some extra cash, because right now they're just like, nah, we're not going to do anything. No, we're Sony. But it's literally, if you look at the numbers, they don't have a fiscal reason to do it.
Yeah, but in the industry, you have to keep innovating, keep moving forward to stay ahead.
Basically, it's the kind of thing where wait where the market goes. They're probably not announcing it, but they probably have a system in development already.
I guarantee it.
Because Microsoft already announced a new system, and they had to, because their systems aren't selling well. But I see Microsoft going down the road of Sega right now. Too many systems, too fast, too soon.
Yeah, they're
Sony's pretty
overwhelming.
solid. So we'll see next console generation. I think next console generation, there will have to be crossplay, at least on some games. I think if it's a game that's massively multiplayer, like those, yes, there should be crossplay. I don't think that just because Ubisoft puts out a game on every platform that they should all necessarily have to play together. It makes sense that Xbox works with PC because they're the same platform, same Windows is Microsoft. I see that working. Nintendo, the difficulty there will be who's handling Nintendo's crossplay. Is it because their internet service traditionally has been complete utter garbage?
Yeah.
They still haven't even launched their online that was supposed to be last September.
Yeah, I think the original date was September in their first year.
We haven't heard anything more about it. It's supposed to be launching this September if it comes out. So you'll have to pay for the service, but who is actually going to run it? Is it also, are you going to lag the fuck out because the game system is basically wireless unless you buy an adapter?
Let's say you were on the bus and you're playing some game on your Switch and you're tethered to your phone. Are you going to be able to connect properly with
and
these
how much
gamers
data
on
is it going to
PS4?
use? Are you going to lag like crazy? Like I could see this completely backfiring against Nintendo because they don't have the infrastructure, unless they're quite literally going to make it so that any game that has crossplay must be on the Microsoft servers. And how does that work? Are you going to have to pay an extra premium to have crossplay with them?
Yeah, suddenly the ball's in Microsoft's court. In that case,
because
they have the infrastructure.
Microsoft is the only one in this that even has the infrastructure. They can't rely just on the game developers, because the game developers don't have the resources unless you're an EA or an Activision to support potentially 30 million people playing. Mm-hmm. Sony does, but they don't want to do it.
No, they don't want to, because all the reasons we already discussed.
Basically, long story short, a couple of the companies want to play nice. Sony's holding out because they don't need to do it now, but we're going to see how things go. The next console generation, things are going to be sort of blended and amalgamated together, probably.
It'll be interesting to see how this all turns out. I guess we'll find out later on this year.
And that's to say that Nintendo agrees to it, but will it even work? They can't even get a chat headset working. So how are you going to play? How are you going to play with somebody on an Xbox if you can't get a chat headset working in game?
Well, it's less people yelling racial slurs at you.
Yeah, no, because you'll be listening to all the people doing it on Xbox.
I guess that's
able to
true.
talk back.
That's true.
And then you'll get flagged for inappropriate.
That had been Sony's flat response was they didn't want to sully their online community. and I mean, I've played on both. I will be honest, Xbox has significantly more how do I put it nicely?
Well, let's say all the
characters on there, they generally have more racist people, more.
I find that more on Xbox 360 as opposed to Xbox
Yeah,
One.
how many of the
it's-
pictures you find
it's
of people
less.
sending private messages saying all the things they're going to do to your family members? Those screenshots are always Xbox. You don't really see it on
Yes.
anywhere else.
So traditionally, even when the PS3 came out with their online and everything, Sony was always viewed as the adult system. And Xbox was viewed as the dude bro.
The green.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a little kid. My parents bought me an Xbox, and I'm going to call you an MFN whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fuck your mom, and she's going to love it. And blah blah blah. All that stuff. It does happen on PlayStation. Like, I'm not going to deny it, but to a lot lesser extent. I find that the actual age of people playing on Xbox skews a lot younger, and for some reason skews a lot dumber, if that makes any sense. That may be my opinion, but that's what I've seen, and that's what most of my friends have seen. People that are generally more articulate and serious people play on PlayStation. So I can see that being a valid point, that they don't want to sully their online community.
Yeah.
Because they said they can't control. If you're playing with somebody on another end and they say something or try to swat you, they have less control over what they see if they're not in control of the servers. So they're trying to say it's protecting you, protecting them from liability issues. So I get the legal standpoint. There are ways around it, but they don't want to even deal with it, they said.
You know what? I don't blame them in some ways. In a
That's
lot
what I mean.
of
Like,
ways.
they're going to have to move towards it in some way.
Yeah, there's gonna need
but
to be
right now, there
change.
isn't a fiscal need for it. They don't need it money-wise, and they don't need the legal hassles that are involved with it.
Well, that's pretty much going to do it for this edition of the news this week. Once again, if you want to get involved, feedback at thisweekingeek.net. We always do want to hear from you. Or the voicemail line, 817-717-7202. But before we go any further, we're going to talk about the weird, the wonderful, and the just plain fucked up in the weird news of the week. We'll be back, guys, right after this.
What makes you qualified to be a reporter? I'm willing to violate anyone's privacy for my personal gain and then claim with a straight face that the public has a right to know.
By the hand of Zeus, what manner of deviltry is this?
I love fake alien poop day.
Oh, I have my glasses off, and I'm here silence. We have a 10-second countdown, and then I'm looking, I'm like, what's going on? Why is nobody talking? Oh, because Mike pointed at me.
You can't see me.
And I can't see his face because I have really bad eyesight without my glasses on. It's Alex, and I guess I'm opening up with the weird news. Here's some weird news. I can't see without my glasses. So I've got something. It's not really weird as in like supernatural or spooky, but it's weird in the food realm. It's sort of food science. I've been looking for a while at food alternatives as far as meat alternatives, things that are high in protein, because as somebody who's had gastric bypass weight loss surgery, I'm always looking to get the maximum amount of protein for the smallest amount of food. And red meat can sometimes sit sort of funny, so I had been looking at veggie burgers for a while, and usually they're kind of crap, but I had stumbled across two different brands that are available in the States. One is the Impossible Burger, which is a soy root-based burger that bleeds red like blood.
That's weird.
Yep.
That's strange.
And the other is the Beyond Burger, which also bleeds red, and that's a beetroot-based burger. Now, what these have in common, I'll get into the story, but what they have in common is they genetically engineered. So it's not a GMO, it's genetically engineered from scratch. This chemical called heme, if it sounds familiar, hemoglobin, you'd think of as from blood of humans.
Yeah.
Well, there's a heme root in plant-based foods as well, and what they do is they mass produce it, and it is what gives meat and beef especially that distinctly beef taste when you grill it. It has iron and a bunch of other chemicals in it that it's what gives meat that seared meat texture and taste. Well, they mass produce it, and they make this mixture with all the rest of the plant-based products, and they make a burger, both these companies, that for all intents and purposes, if you look at it, has the texture and taste of burgers. The look and texture is about 95% what you'd figure a good burger would look like. And the taste, from what I've seen, is nobody said they didn't like it from any of the reviews that I've looked at, but it's about 90% what real beef is. Like if you weren't told that it was a veggie burger, you'd go, yeah, that burger's okay. But if you're told it's a veggie burger, you're like, no way. It just tastes like beef, just not grade A high-end beef.
Yeah, it's not like, oh man, that was the best burger I've ever had.
Costco has been carrying some of them in the States, not in Canada yet. And there's been a few documentaries shown on Wired, and I think a few other channels have shown different programs on comparing them to real meat. They've been on CNN and everything. The big news story, though, is A&W, the burger chain in Canada, is picking up the Beyond Burger, which is the beetroot-based one, as potentially replacing their veggie burger. And right now it's going to be added to the menu on July 9th. It's going to be $6.99. So it's the first time they've entered the Canadian market, meaning it's passed all food inspection things. In the States, they're in sort of a limbo state where the FDA hasn't said, there's not enough evidence to say that it's either good or bad for you. They have to provide more proof. But in Canada, it's usually harder to get food approved than it is in the States, as we have more strict laws, which is why we can't bring over beef or dairy products into Canada. We have more stringent laws than they do about fat content, pasteurization. It's easier if you're an American coming into Canada, picking up our beef and our milk products and bringing it down, than it is to come back with it. So the fact that it got approved for Canada, and we're talking one of the biggest chains in Canada, one of the top 5 or 6 biggest burger chains, means it's passed that inspection up here. Meaning we're going to start seeing more competition, probably from the Impossible Burger and anybody else that comes up with new things. So I'm definitely going to want to try it out.
I think this is a future Satan's Pantry.
Absolutely, because when I looked into it, they are the same calories, within like 5 calories of an actual beef burger at the same thing. The fat content is reduced significantly because there's
nothing to have fat.
There's the fat from the plants, like from the actual the roots and everything, as well as the heme that they put in adds a little bit of something to it. But your saturated fat goes to zero at all, and then the fat is just the naturally occurring fatty foods that are part of it. Cholesterol moves to 0 because there's nothing to have cholesterol in it.
And if you have this as like a lettuce wrap.
Yeah, there's a lettuce wrap version. Now, there is a salt content because they have to season it to give it the right texture and flavor. The salt is it's like 1,000 milligrams. It's about a gram of salt, which is like, oh, that sounds crazy. But when you actually look at what's like in a McDonald's burger and that, this is on par with any burger out there. They're not saying that it is a health burger, like as in it's super, replacement healthy burger for you. It's just that it's an alternative, not for people that are vegetarians. This is for people that are meat eaters, just to have an alternative food. Their mission statement is to reduce the carbon footprint, not to make people vegetarians or vegans.
Yeah.
So the burger is not vegan friendly because it's still cooked on the same grill that all the other burgers are cooked on. Their mayo, it has egg in it and that. So it's not that. It is just a meat alternative option for meat eaters. The big deal with it is the iron content is huge. So if for anybody that has like anemia or iron issues or retaining, blood count, you get double to triple the amount of iron that you get from red meat for the same size.
That's insane.
So instead of taking iron pills, just keep pounding back these burgers.
Well, literally, looks like the burger with the patty and everything is going to run you about 550 calories, which is not bad for what.
That's equivalent to a Big Mac.
And when you consider that there's no fat or very little, there's no saturated fat, no cholesterol, no trans fats, high in iron, high in fiber, very high in protein. In fact, the protein is higher than what you get for medium beef and pork, and about on par with what you get with chicken and turkey for the same size, which is the highest amount that you can get from a naturally occurring meat product. So,
man, these burgers are going to make you poo.
Oh, probably, but
high protein, high fiber.
For $6.99, and they're making special patties where they're going to be seasoned with the A&W seasoning. They're 1 ounce less. I think they're 3 ounce burgers. That's what they use for their patties. But that being said, it looks appetizing. I'll throw a link in the description to the website for A&W for it. It looks to be as close to meat as you're possibly going to get without making fake meat. I say in quotes that.
Yeah, the synthesized stuff.
This is a step towards it, and apparently it takes up each burger is 90% less carbon footprint. So What does that mean? It means you help the environment a little bit. It doesn't mean you can't have food. It means you can go get a Buddy Burger, get yourself a little beef patty for like $2, and then get yourself the bigger, vegetable burger.
Yeah, like I said, we're totally going to do this for a future Satan's Pantry.
So what I see from this is we actually looked up earlier. McDonald's does not have a veggie burger at all. I thought they did.
So did I.
I think they used to. I feel like
they tried a test bed in Finland last year. No, but McVeggie.
Do you know what I think it was that I was thinking of? Because I know Burger King doesn't, or do they now?
I think they've got something.
I was thinking it was Harvey's that has one.
Yes.
So and that was generally considered one of the better burgers that was in that style. And I think at one point Wendy's had one too. But if this is available in Canada, McDonald's could easily go with the Impossible Burger, which is their competition, buy the entire company, or use their burgers up in Canada. This is only going to be better for us because it opens the floodgates for more meat alternatives here.
Yeah, suddenly it's now a viable industry.
And I mean, as far as the weird news aspect of this is the product they put in there, the heme that makes it taste and look and feel like a real burger, is made with a small machine in a factory from scratch. They genetically made a yeast that produces it at a very high rate, because otherwise they would be taking forever to harvest this. Mm-hmm. So this is not a genetically modified product, it's a genetically created product from scratch.
So there's going to be some people with moral high ground, quote unquote high ground, on that one. They're going to have a problem with it being created. Oh, we're playing God or whatever else by making these burger products.
I say, you know what? Fuck you.
At least it's not dinosaurs.
Yeah, this has all the right reasons for this to exist. Reducing carbon footprint is a pretty big deal right about now.
Helping with fiber, lowering cholesterol. Here's the thing: if it can convert somebody, like there are people out there that have horrible diets and all they eat is fast food all day. If they could switch to this, still get the flavor they want, and the flavor, the texture, the smell, the profile of the burger they always had, but reduce their cholesterol, live a healthier life.
Yeah.
You can
Why
still
not?
You can still eat that burger, and it's still going to have the same amount of calories. But if you're not wrecking your arteries and you're not just
it's small steps, but it's still steps that don't affect them negatively in any way.
And if it's already tasting 90 to 95% as good as a normal burger, then in 10 years, what are we going to have?
Yeah, little tweaks and you're going to end up almost identical.
Especially if you throw and that's just eating the burger as a burger with lettuce and stuff. That's not saying they couldn't make a rodeo burger, put some barbecue sauce on there or something, and then you wouldn't tell at all. It would just taste like a normal burger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
and end up with like a Pepsi challenge, but the burger challenge.
So this is something that I didn't think was possible. They're manufacturing like a veggie burger that when you cut into it bleeds, in quotes, like with juices.
That's a little disturbing at times, but I mean I get it. It just sounds weird that they're using the term bleeds.
Yeah.
We made a bleeding burger.
Yeah, because I guess sweats doesn't get the
meat sweats.
Exactly.
Let's try our sweaty burger. Ew.
No.
But I am definitely on July 9th. I'm trying that crap.
Yeah, that is happening for sure. And slightly less appetizing news. If you have trouble getting laid, some people with a lot of money and not a lot of sense like to go out and get robots to do it for them. Now, an upgrade has been put out for the famous sex robot Samantha, created by Dr. Sergey Santos. The upgrade now allows her to refuse sex from her human partner if she's not in the mood or feeling disrespected.
So this is a firmware update you maybe want to skip.
Wait a minute, no, no, this is going to be,
So
this is going to be super rape play.
The upgrade.
Oh my god, I never even thought about that.
What this is. That's what this is for. This is for the people that want to force it on somebody. That's the only reason this would come out.
Well, the idea behind it allows Samantha to enter a dummy mode or an unresponsive state, because if the partner gets overly aggressive or if the robot feels bored with the affections and attention that the partner is giving to the robot, then it can just enter this shutdown mode. Problem is, it can't fight back in any way. It'll just shut off. So the intent is to try to teach these people better respect, but it's not really necessarily how it's going to work out.
This is dark. This, I guarantee you, this is for rape play.
This
and that is wholly disturbing, beyond the fact of this product existing at all.
Yeah, there's a a discussion on sci-fi.com. Anna Marie Cox has already discussed this. Realistic sex robots and sex dolls actually could increase problems already rampant in modern dating culture. While some believe that sex with a synthetic surrogate could reduce the number of victims of toxic masculinity, there is a very real possibility that they could further blur the lines between sexual objects that look like women and women being used as sexual objects.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a... And we wonder why Skynet's going to wipe us out.
I have grave reservations about how this is going to be used and how it's not going to be an AI yet, at least, but how they're going to develop this is going to be quite disturbing.
Yeah, I'm not liking the possibilities that this door opens.
It's the very nature. It's the nature of humanity in those little groups. The people that don't really understand what actual social interaction and permission and consent and all those important issues are. This isn't going to teach them that.
This is going to teach you that if she shuts down, just keep doing it.
Yeah, well, now, it's not as exciting, but this can still happen.
No,
it's all the wrong...
It's not going to teach you that. It's going to teach you, for those people, now they're more excited that she doesn't want it. That's... Because honestly, I'm sorry, think of the people that are buying these dolls in the first place, and these robots.
Yeah, it's from that weird sect where people call themselves incels or whatever.
Yeah, involuntary celibates. And they already have a rather skewed, to put it lightly, view of reality.
Exactly. I am sorry. This is not going to help you be a social person.
No, this is only going to increase any social issues you have upstairs.
Yeah. If you need a robot like that to teach you that this person is not interested, that you already have a major problem, and you're probably not going to learn it from a robot just turning off.
Yeah,
and there's probably a way to override it anyway, which is a different problem altogether. It kind of adds to the issue.
Also, if it turns off, what's it going to do? Like clench up and rip your dick off?
Teeth mode activated.
Vagina dentata. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm getting out of this dark rabbit hole to something still depressing, actually. So those of you, how many of you in this room have heard of Koko? The talking gorilla.
Okay, yeah. I thought you meant just like
Koko.
Hot Koko, yes.
Yes, Koko, the famous sign language talking gorilla, has died this past week. She joins Harambe up in Gorilla Heaven. She died at the age of 46. She knew over 1,000 words in American Sign Language. Actually used to have pet kittens. That's my wife dropping my G Fuel container on the floor. Love you too. But yeah, she was known for her extraordinary ability to talk. She was introduced to celebrities, one of the most notable being Robin Williams. Her handler, I guess is what you would call her, was Stanford University graduate Penny Patterson. Was given the opportunity when she founded Project Koko in the 70s to see if she could learn to talk and communicate with humans. And I was listening to some anecdotes this past week. Koko picked out kittens out of a litter, and she had her own pet cat that she could literally pet and whatnot and everything, and the animal was responsive to her and everything that comes along with just having a kitten. So the weird aspect of this that I thought was just the fact that we were communicating with an animal like a person. Like we say dolphins are intelligent, at least almost human level. Chimpanzees are smart. Gorillas.
Dolphins can do math, and we're not talking adding, subtracting. They can do multiplication. They can do more than apes can do.
Yeah, I think it's a language.
It's a language barrier with them more. Like, they are more intelligent than apes. It's just
we don't know how to communicate.
Significantly more different than our brains work.
Yeah.
So the thing with Koko, there's been controversy in that Penny would never allow anybody else to do an independent study of her to see if she wasn't being fed the information. It's quite clear that she was coming up with her own. I'm not sure if it was Koko or if there was another sign language ape. It might have been Koko though, that they were using to teach other apes, and the fact that she could teach other apes how to speak.
Yeah.
And the big deal was, it was either Koko or it was the other gorilla that was doing it. I don't know why. It came to my mind now. They were teaching sign language that wasn't taught by the humans. They were making up their own words for certain things.
Yeah, they took the concept of sign language
and they would take the root of the word and then add something to it that then meant something else. That meant that they were having proper,
They're developing language.
American Sign Language of their own. It was basically
Ape sign
language. And there's only been a few apes that have ever been taught this. I know she was the oldest.
Yeah.
I looked up a great ape, gorilla, generally the lifespan, within captivity, without captivity, whatever, 35 to 45 years. So she actually outlived it a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, I had no prior knowledge of actual expected life length for
I know
apes.
chimpanzees can live to be 60-something. But it's just, I think the age category factor is the size of the animal.
Yeah.
A chimp is medium size, so that their heart rate doesn't go as fast as a smaller ape, so they're not going to burn out as quickly. And they're also don't have as much mass to go around. They're also not hunted as much, so I think it takes into account living in captivity, you're going to live longer than you do outward. So a great ape like Koko could possibly have lived to be 50, 55, whereas in the wild, probably only 30.
Bigger risk factors.
Yeah.
One thing that I always, I remember hearing, we talked about dolphins versus apes and who's smarter.
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of diminishes the concept of apes being so smart. Yes, they're intelligent. They can learn these languages, but they don't ask questions. No matter what it is. Koko even lied once because something broke and Koko blamed it on her cat.
Yeah.
But they never ask anything. They never ask to learn more things.
They just
don't
accept
have
reality as is.
They don't have the presence to think that anyone could possibly know anything that they don't.
Yeah,
and that's an important step in intelligence.
I want to watch TV. I want to do things that I've already been introduced to.
Exactly, things already within their life space. They don't ask, okay, well, why? They don't ask why anything. They don't ask for any new information. Meaning that everything that they know already is everything that exists, and everyone else knows that too.
When the cat died, all Koko asked was, "Where's the cat?" Cat's gone. Cat's dead. Koko's sad, and that was it. Like, there was no, can I have another cat?
Yeah, there's also no, well, why did it die? It just, okay, it is a thing because it is a thing. There's no inquisitive nature, and that's what separates a certain level of intelligence.
Whereas I know dolphins will be creative in how they ask for things or do things. The idea that a dolphin will go, if somebody is lost at sea and a dolphin finds them, they'll bring the person to land. And that's happened multiple times. Or to the nearest humans. Because they know that you don't belong there. So that's one thing. And then you've got elephants that have painted.
Yep.
And we're not talking, like, they won't paint what's in front of them, like the scenery, like,
They'll paint abstract art and not just random splotches on paper.
They'll
something with
they'll
structure.
paint something they saw a year or two ago.
Yeah, something they remember and never forget.
But then they'll add something to it. So if they saw a red balloon, they'll draw a red balloon and a blue balloon. That wasn't there.
Yeah, they're thinking of new things.
Yeah.
New concept. Okay,
So-
well, that and this
So
thing.
we have a few animals that are like this.
And
It's just
crows. I'm
Yeah.
a big proponent of crows and how intelligent they are, where they can problem solve something in their head before they do it.
Was there some sort of article out there that saying that crows can do calculus or some? There was some sort of.
It's in the same way that humans can do calculus without knowing it as well. We've been doing calculus in our heads for thousands of years without knowing what calculus was. It has to do
or
with
even
why we
knowing
can
the
throw
formula,
and catch. Every time you throw something and catch it, you're doing calculus. in
Yeah,
your head.
the logic behind figuring out how that works.
Yeah,
you
but
may
they
not
can be
know.
presented a problem where they have to get a pebble out of the bottom of a thing, but they need to bend
Yeah.
a piece of wire to get it. They can do that in their head and then just do it on their first try.
Not knowing the concept of how they're doing it or why they're doing it.
Yeah, they can
And
problem solve.
To bring it back to Koko, the big deal there is it is an ape because they're so similar in look and primates. We're all part of that same species, that same family. It was always a hope that we could teach them how to speak. Now that we know that their vocal cords wouldn't work the same.
Yeah, they're just not evolved the same
But
way.
eventually, we're talking, if we kept up with this research in the next 50, 100 years, if they're still around, if they haven't been endangered and we're not all dead too, could we get to a point where it's not just signing, where it could use, they could use a keyboard and type? Could there be a specially customized thing with free phrases and keywords where they could start communicating?
Kind of like how Professor Hawking had that predictive keyboard.
Where we're like, we already have assisted tools that allow people that don't speak to be able to talk just by typing, or assisted devices, whatever they call them.
AAC or something like.
Could they develop one for the apes to use as well?
When it reaches that point, there's some interesting, and it should already be there, but the
Ethical
ethical questions there, would you feel comfortable walking into a zoo, seeing these animals on the other side of a pane of glass, and then talking to you?
Yeah.
That disturbs me.
And Koko
Planet of the Apes,
was
man.
unique because she had her own enclosure.
Yeah, it was more of a sanctuary for her. She was there as just part of a program. She wasn't part of a zoo, but having the capability for the species of animals to learn to communicate with us, would we still be able to hold them in captivity? Would we have to create new sets of rights for these groups of animals with this capability?
Exactly. So it's interesting. It's sad that she's gone. I wasn't sure. Like, for a while, I thought she was dead years ago. I thought, oh,
Same here, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I had seen it was around the time that Robin Williams passed away that all this stuff was brought up again about her and her visits with him. And then I was like, holy crap, she is still alive. And similarly to, there's a lot of apes that were used in like Tarzan movies in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, TV shows and that, whenever they would use a chimp. There are sanctuaries and retirement homes for Hollywood animals. And I didn't realize that some of these ones, you know, that were around in the 60s, they're still alive because they lived to be 60 or 70 years old.
Yeah.
And they were only like 2 years old when they were in a movie. But because of how the laws work for like the studios, they have to provide them literally a retirement home.
So does Lancelot's secret chimp still alive?
Lancelot Link, yes. As far as when the DVD came out a few years ago, and I believe now still alive, he'd be in his 50s, I think.
You probably outlive a lot of their handlers because
Well,
their handlers are
and
adults
that's
back
why
then.
they have it's. When I say retirement home, I don't mean like
A monkey retirement home.
like
Monkeys in wheelchairs
Boca
walking
Raton.
around.
No, but it's literally like a building that with nice enclosure, nice places to live. It's an actual retirement community for Hollywood animals.
That's so cool.
And
Yeah, it is.
Contrary to what like they used to do in Italian cinema, where it's just like, the monkey died. Okay, big deal. And they actually have situations. They have a whole system set up for apes. So I'm assuming the chimpanzee that was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, that's probably in one of these one of these retirement homes, or unless she's young enough. Well, she's still young enough probably to actually work and do things. But when they get to a certain age, they literally go to a home. And Koko would have been in a home if not for being still part of this program that she was being studied. I'm wondering how Penny is going to take all of this. Because we're talking 40 years now.
Yeah, that's basically a life.
That's a friend
partnership.
Yeah,
it's a family member. Like Penny, she was laughed at when she brought up, "Can I teach sign language?" Laughed at and ridiculed in her community. Proved that it could happen. They still, to this day, a lot of people don't believe her, and they think that she was feeding lines to her, because Penny was so protective, not allowing anybody else to do an independent study because she didn't want to upset Koko environment. So there is an aspect to this of she wants to keep the research to herself. So there's probably a little bit of a selfish desire there, but you don't live with and around, like you only have like a dog or a pet for upwards of 20 years. You don't have 45 years with most pets, if saying quotes, or
unless they're a bird.
You know, I mean,
but there's not the same level of bonding really.
No,
there.
we're
Not to
talking.
diminish.
This is basically a member of her family, so I'm hoping she's okay with everything that's happening.
yeah,
now.
ditto. Weird bit of trivia before we close this out. Do you remember the movie Rocky, where he had the pet turtles?
Yep.
Those turtles are still alive today, and Rocky still has them.
Turtles have a long lifespan.
Oh,
Some tortoises can live for over 100
I'll
years.
guarantee you that turtle's going to outlive Stallone.
Yeah, which would be funny.
Didn't the Emperor's tortoise just die? The Japanese one.
I don't know.
He was over 200 years old.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was passed down like it was tortoise. I might be wrong, but I thought it was brought to the Emperor when foreigners came and brought it as a gift in like 1800s or something like that.
Oh wow!
So it was nearly 200 years old, and it had been treated as a as a revered thing, even though the Emperor really has no power in Japan anymore.
Yeah,
it's just sort of a figurehead type thing. But I remember something about the oldest, like it's the oldest mammal, or not mammal, sorry, the oldest animal that we know of because we actually have a date of when it was there.
That's crazy though. So anyway, guys, we're going to throw things over to us in Satan's Pantry this week as we go down the Devil's Grocery aisle. What's going to happen this week? I'm not entirely sure. So we'll be back right here on This Week in Geek, or TWIG, the flagship of stupidity. We'll be back, guys, right after this.
Welcome to hell.
You wouldn't even serve it to a pig! It's inedible!
Welcome back to Satan's Pantry, where we decide to dance dangerously through basically Hell's Convenience Store. And in today's edition of the show, I am joined with...
Alex, who brings the pain.
You are bringing the pain today, and today we're trying something from the Far East. We're trying something from Japan, I believe. We are trying something called Koko, which is a non-carbonated milk drink.
Now, the last time we had a milk drink, it didn't go
I think
over
I
so
almost
well.
puked.
And that was a yogurt-based one. This is just a milk, think milk pop.
I'm curious, so I'm going to open... We have two of them. We're just going to do them both in one episode. I'm going to try it, then Alex is going to try it. So I'm opening the white one, which is Koko, original flavor. Cracking the lid now, smelling it. It smells like Sprite.
Interesting.
Which is weird. Yeah, it smells like Sprite. All right, bottoms up. Damn!
Yup.
That is some
I've
tasty
had that
fish.
one before, and I wanted to see your reaction because, see, not all milk drinks have to be terrible.
Yeah, this tastes like Sprite. Weird. Delicious.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a quick sip and see if it's how I remember it. Now, I picked these up at that new Japanese dollar store, Miniso. They have a lot of weird things.
Which is like a local thing to Guelph/Kitchener for those of you that aren't in the know.
Yeah, they're slowly opening up. They want to open up, I think it's 400 stores in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they haven't expanded into the States yet. They're basically Hong Kong, Japan, and then Canada.
Hopefully they'll carry some Sentai stuff at some point. That's my hope and love.
Right now they've got knockoff Transformers, and I mean exact molds for like $3 or $4.
I mean, we may need to take a look at some of those. All right, so what do you think?
The regular, which you think would be the kind of weird, gross one, it's hard to pinpoint what the flavor is.
It tastes lemony to me.
It's like a lemon lime Sprite milk, and it sounds weird, but it tastes great.
Yeah, it's so strange. So for the second one we're doing this is we're doing the strawberry version.
Yeah, the other two flavors, for anybody wondering, that they had were lychee, which is also good if you like lychees, and mango.
All right, so I've just cracked it. So once again, bottoms up. Very strong strawberry flavor. Once again, you get almost a hint of something else. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, like it's been relabeled with English on it but it's not very descriptive.
I don't know. It tastes like melted strawberry ice cream.
Well, I guess that makes sense if it's strawberry and a milk-based drink, so it'd be cream.
Okay, I'm going to drink this whole thing if I don't hand it to you.
You can have that one. I've had that one before.
Okay. Actually, I kind of want the other one.
Which one do you want more?
I don't know. Which one do you want?
I'll take the plain one if you want.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll drink strawberry. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, a lot of the stuff we had out of Japan on this show has been weird, frightening, but never truly amazing.
The next time I bring something Japanese will be frightening and terrifying.
I know one of our fans, Jen, sent us some weird gluten things, and I don't even know how to describe them.
Isn't it just like pure gluten or something?
Something like that, flavored spicy gluten. So we'll try that on the show at some point. So
there's apparently durian candy,
which I have no idea what the hell that is.
Okay, well you'll find out pretty quick.
Oh boy!
And I have Japanese death chips. There's no English on it. Roommate ordered some stuff from Hobbylink Japan and goes, "Here's some death chips for you."
Oh boy! So be looking forward to that here on This Week in Geek as we continue once again our wonderful walk down the Devil's Grocery aisle right here on Satan's Pantry, only on TWIG, the flagship of stupidity.
1, 2 fucking idiots. Fuck off.
We are looking at Tomb Raider, available from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. Now, this is a movie that I originally did want to see in theaters when it came out this past March, but couldn't simply because of wheelchair complications and getting all that figured out. Now, thankfully, this has come to home video to us, and what we get is a movie based upon the 2013 rebooted franchise of Tomb Raider, not the Lara Croft Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie back in the early 2000s, but no, based upon the video game of the 2013 reboot, which sees Lara Croft not the action badass we know her with the dual pistols, jumping, fighting tigers and bears and all that crap. No, we get a much more grounded in reality Lara Croft, and what we get here is her origin story, loosely based upon the first game, which, like I said, came out back in 2013. And what we get here is a not bad video game movie. And I know video game movies get a horrible rap. You've got ones like Doom and Street Fighter, and other ones that have come and gone like Tekken, which no one ever talks about that, and probably the less that do, the better. But Tomb Raider manages to rise above that and probably rank itself in, I'm going to say, the top 5 video game movies of all time. Now, I hear Rampage is better. I haven't seen that yet, so maybe my judgment will change in a couple of months. But regardless, though, what you get here is the origin story of Laura as she figures out what happened to her father as he went looking for a death goddess known as Himiko, who you may recognize from the 2013 game. And this one takes a much more grounded basis in reality, and I kind of like that a little bit better than probably the video game, because I remember in the video game, pretty sure I killed Himiko with a grenade launcher. In this one, well, I'm not going to give too much more away than that. You'll have to go and see it for yourself. But you do get a couple of special features on this disc. There's a 10-minute or so featurette looking at the evolution of how the character has evolved over the years from, I think it was Core Concepts, the original company that made her in the 90s, how it's evolved over the years to what she is now, including how her weaponry has changed from using the dual pistols to using primarily the bow and arrow and the pickaxe, which I think is ultimately more badass. They also talk with the director for another featurette to bring his vision to life of Lara Croft and the origin story. There's a training thing they talk about. And it's pretty much your standard special features. Nothing that really sticks out in my mind. But you may be asking yourself, Mike, is it worth owning this particular movie? And I'm going to say yes, because this is one of the best video game movies we've seen so far. While it doesn't reinvent the wheel like, say, Mortal Kombat did in the 90s for its particular franchise property, it's not bad like Tekken or like other video game movies. This one manages to treat its source material fairly seriously. In fact, my wife Blair had compared this to the National Treasure franchise, just with a female lead. And Tomb Raider was always supposed to be the female, Indiana Jones. And I don't disagree. If you took the Tomb Raider franchise off this movie and her name was, I don't know, Mindy Smith, you'd still get a fairly entertaining film. So I do recommend Tomb Raider as a buy, especially if you're a geek for video game movies. And even if you're not, it's a fairly entertaining movie. So check out Tomb Raider, available from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. And welcome back to TWIG, the flagship of stupidity. We have had a really, really good discussion this past week, either talking about Jerry Springer or talking about what's going on with Sony. And then we even went down a dark path, which we didn't quite expect with that story, but that's okay. However, we do thank you for sticking with the show as you often do. You can find us on the web at thisweekingeek.net. You can follow us on Twitter at thisweekingeek. Me and Alex typically run the accounts there. Tristan, what do you got coming up on your YouTube channel this week?
Well, as Battle for Azeroth keeps coming in, there's more and more news, more and more changes. Blizzard is always busy updating things. I want to start doing a weekly show where I wrap up the news from all things Blizzard. There are so many titles now: World of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone. They're starting to add new titles to the Battle.net launcher, like Call of Duty 4, Black Ops 4, and Destiny 2, but not really anything happening on that front. Yeah.
They killed Nathan Fillion. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's a thing. Apparently that's happening, so I guess we'll see how that plays out. But in general, there's always more news for Blizzard. They're a busy company. So I want to kind of wrap things up in a nice little package so you don't have to scour the internet trying to find all these articles. You can keep up to date with everything Blizzard on my channel on YouTube at Mr. Tristifer.
I like the sound of that. And Alex, what have we got coming up from you this week?
A million reviews.
Yeah, you've been like Review-O-Rama.
We've got some stuff in the backlog. Basically, I'm probably going to have enough for a couple Turtle Treasure shows, maybe more. I don't know. There's a lot.
Good stuff. I myself am working on reviews for Lego Incredibles. I'm also working on one of my first Switch games, which will be kind of fun. I'll be reviewing that rather soon.
Welcome to the world of now.
Yeah, and I'll also finally be reviewing another Gundam game I haven't reviewed in, wow, it's been a long time. I'm reviewing the new Gundam Breakers on the PlayStation 4, We'll see how that one goes. But anyway, guys, so for This Week in Geek, we have been
Mr. Tristifer.
Alex.
I've been Mike the Birdman Dodd saying live free or die hard. We'll catch you guys again next week right here on thisweekingeek.net because we are TWIG, the flagship of stupidity. And of course, we get 50 miles per the gallon.
Well, kids, that's enough for one night, eh?
You know, I don't think this show is suitable for children.
I don't think this show is suitable for anybody.
You've been listening to This Week in Geek. Tune in next week to hear something like this. Insert a clip here, you dick. Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net for more geek content. And subscribe to our podcast through iTunes or any podcatcher. If you'd like to comment on this episode, head to this episode post on thisweekingeek.net and comment through Facebook Connect. Or you can call our voicemail line at 817-717-7202. Follow and message us on Twitter at thisweekingeek. And check out our Instagram at twig_official_podcast. If you're the good old-fashioned email type, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. We'll see you next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Before Michael rudely disabled and deleted the file that we were recording, I was talking about how nipples are weird, and when I sit funny, I don't have big moobs, but I've always tried to see if I could fold my boob over underneath itself and have it flick out. Because then you could put, like, I don't know, like a Skittle on the front of your belly and have your nipple flick it across the room. I've been unsuccessful so far.
Where do you come up with this shit?
I'm bored a lot.
I can just picture you recording yourself with nipple skittle test number 47.
Oh, we're in the thousands, and it never works out.